In the year 2023, a monumental shift occurred as India surpassed China, becoming the most populous nation on Earth with a staggering 1.4 billion people. This remarkable achievement solidified India's position as the largest democracy globally. One of the key drivers behind India's ascent is its thriving tech industry, which has played a pivotal role in shaping the nation's economic landscape. The sector has not only contributed substantially to India's GDP but has also become a vital source of employment opportunities, fostering overall economic growth. Companies like Tata, Flipkart, Zomato, Ola Cabs, and many more are making headlines globally. In the fiscal year 2022, the industry's revenue surpassed an impressive $200 billion, setting the stage for continued growth. Looking forward, the trajectory of India's technology industry appears promising, with projections indicating a path toward the $500 billion milestone by 2030. This upward trend positions India as a global leader in technology and knowledge services. However, India's current success stands in stark contrast to its past. Before the 1990s, India operated as a socialist nation, with the government holding monopolies in almost every sector. During this era, a substantial segment of the population, 3 out of every 4 individuals, participated in primitive agriculture, utilizing basic tools. Whether as impoverished landless laborers or small plot farmers, the pursuit of a subsistence life posed considerable challenges. The literacy rate was a mere 14%, and the average life expectancy was a meager 32 years. The transformation India has undergone from those challenging times to its present status as a burgeoning economic powerhouse is nothing short of remarkable. But how India achieved all of this? This is the story of India's magnificent transformation. On the 15th of August 1947, India witnessed the peak of its struggle for independence from colonial rule, marking the dawn of a new era. While the nation celebrated its freedom from British dominance, it soon faced the formidable challenges of addressing social, economic, and political issues that ended its progress. Tensions stretched to a breaking point with Pakistan over the division of assets. The Indo-Pakistan Financial Settlement of 1947 mandated that India pay 550 million rupees as the latter's share of the assets. Additionally, the partition gave rise to a significant refugee problem, with millions of non-Muslims moving into India and a substantial number of Muslims migrating to Pakistan. Financial constraints loomed large over India from the beginning, as resources were scarce to support its vast population. Nevertheless, in 1952, the country successfully conducted its first general elections, marking a historic moment in its history. Despite economic challenges, India, influenced by the USSR, embraced socialist policies in the 1950s by implementing centrally prepared 5-year plans that involved raising a massive amount of resources and investing them in the creation of large industrial state-owned enterprises. Most industries were given significant trade protections, so that their growth was not hampered by competition from more efficient foreign producers. An industrial licensing system was set up to ensure that private enterprises would not expand beyond the bounds that national planners had set for them. The system required all private firms, beyond a certain small-sized firms, to obtain a license whenever they wanted to expand capacity, produce new products, change their input mix, import inputs, or relocate plants. The system put the activities of the private sector under significant control of the government, leading to an era which in Indian history is known as the License Raj. Efforts were also made to organize small farmers into cooperative societies, aiming to pool resources for modern tools and implements, while avoiding excessive dependence on foreign imports. All of this was done in a bid to prevent India from being too dependent on foreign imports. But by the late 1950s, as a result of such strategies, several problems were coming to the fore, which intensified in the 1960s and the 70s. Many state-owned enterprises were run on political rather than economic considerations, so they produced losses that drained government resources rather than augmenting them. Several enterprises were overstaffed and faced insufficient demand for what they produced. The case of the Haldia fertilizer plant exemplifies the inefficiencies. The plant was set up in the 1970s and employed 1,500 people. The workers and managers showed up regularly, kept the machine facilities clean and in working condition, and often received annual bonuses and overtime. But There was only one thing missing. The plant never produced even an ounce of fertilizer. Yet the government kept Haldia's lights on for 21 years. By the 1980s, a substantial number of influential people had come around to the conclusion that the government did not have the political and administrative capacity to successfully run a controlled economy that delivered on economic growth. In an attempt to address these issues, certain industries and business activities were exempted from licensing requirements in the late 1980s, fostering industrial growth. However, India fell short of fully embracing a liberal economy during this period. But this was all about to change in the next few years. Before further moving on, if you have watched this video so far, then please hit the like and subscribe button to support the channel. Following the collapse of its key ally, the USSR, in 1991, India faced a looming foreign exchange shortage that posed a serious threat to its economy, triggered by a balance of payments crisis. The country plunged into a severe recession, prompting the government to break away from its past policies. In response to the crisis, structural adjustment programs became imperative to secure loans from international financial institutions, including the IMF and World Bank. The pivotal moment in 1991 served as a catalyst for the Indian government to embark on a comprehensive economic reform agenda, commonly known as liberalization, privatization, and globalization, or LPG reforms. These reforms had far-reaching effects on the Indian economy, resulted in increased foreign investment, and a shift towards a more service-oriented economic landscape. One of the significant outcomes of liberalization was the abolition of the license Raj, removing licensing restrictions for all industries. In a bid to attract foreign investment, the government introduced a plan to pre-approve all investments up to 51% foreign equity participation, facilitating the infusion of modern technology and industrial development by foreign companies. The old policies governing foreign technology agreements were also dismantled to encourage technological advancement. Also, addressing the fiscal deficit was a key priority, which achieved by limiting government expenses. The success of these reforms was evident as from 1992 to 2005, foreign investment surged by an impressive 316.9%. India's GDP witnessed remarkable growth, soaring from $260 billion in 1991 to $2.3 trillion in 2018. The annual growth rate in GDP per capita accelerated from a modest 1.2% in the 3 decades after independence to a robust 7.5%. Despite the substantial contribution of the service sector to India's GDP, characterized by high productivity, it faced a challenge of low employment generation. This was particularly notable in rapidly growing subsectors such as software services, telecommunications, and banking, which are capital-intensive and require less labor compared to sectors like agriculture or manufacturing. India's manufacturing sector has also seen rapid growth after opening up to the world. But the growth rate slowed significantly after 2012, and it seemed like all the excitement about the Indian economy was coming to an end. But this was the silence before the storm.
A new leader, a new era for India. India's opposition leader, Narendra Modi, is now Prime Minister-elect, delivering a crushing blow to the Indian National Congress, which has controlled India's government for most of its post-colonial history, by sweeping an election that saw 550 million votes cast.
In 2014, Prime Minister Narendra Modi came into power, marking a transformative period for India's economic landscape. Under Modi's leadership during 2 consecutive terms, the country consistently emerged as one of the fastest-growing large economies. Between 2014 and 2022, India experienced an impressive average compound annual growth rate of 5.6%, propelling its economic development. Notably, the Modi administration made significant strides in reducing extreme poverty. World Bank data indicates a substantial decline, with the share of India's population living in extreme poverty decreasing from 18.7% in 2015 to 12% in 2021. Both urban and rural areas witnessed a drop in the percentage of people living below the international poverty line of $2.15 a day. technological advancements played a pivotal role, with over 500 million bank accounts created for the poor, linked through the Aadhaar digital ID system, facilitating precise welfare transfers. India's digital ID system, Aadhaar, has helped direct welfare transfers precisely to the beneficiaries. The robust economic growth opened doors to the middle class for hundreds and millions of Indians, contributing to an inclusive economic expansion. Modi's government also prioritized public health and hygiene, launching nationwide campaigns, including the construction of public toilets, resulting in a steady decline in infant mortality. The country positioned itself as a model for digital infrastructure, bringing nearly 1 billion people online. India prides itself on its globally connected information technology sector, with a host of domestic and foreign companies clustered in southern India, especially around Bengaluru and Hyderabad, making the country the back office of the world. In between worldwide disruptions in the tech industry, characterized by project closures and layoffs following the pandemic, India maintained its resilience, demonstrating unwavering and sustained growth. Apple designating India as a pivotal manufacturing hub, boasting a remarkable 48% annual growth in revenue during fiscal year 2023, reaching $5.9 billion. Meta also witnessed a robust 13% growth in gross ad revenue during the same fiscal year, emphasizing India's insulated economy during global recession concerns. This consistent upward trajectory of these global tech companies in India, despite turbulent global conditions, speaks volumes about the country's potential as a lucrative market and a stronghold for future expansions. A decade of substantial foreign direct investment reflects confidence in India's long-term growth potential. The startup revolution in India has boosted by some iconic startup success stories like Flipkart, Paytm, Zomato, Ola Cabs, etc. Many Indian startups have achieved the unicorn status, with over 100 startups valued at over $1 billion valuation. In terms of number of unicorns, India ranks on number 3rd position, just behind the US and China. The future outlook for the Indian startup space is very promising, given the large market opportunity, policy support, and availability of risk capital, and with the right nurturing, the Indian startup ecosystem has the potential to drive innovation, create large-scale employment, and contribute to the economic growth of the country. The government has launched initiatives like Startup India to boost entrepreneurship and create a supportive environment for startups. As India's population has reached 1.4 billion, it forecasts a dramatic expansion of its GDP, positioning the country to have the world's second-largest economy by 2075. Presently, India holds the position of the world's 5th-largest economy. However, India grapples with a never-ending list of challenges on its journey to be the 2nd-largest economy. One pressing issue is the deficiency in modern infrastructure. The Indian government is actively addressing this concern by initiating projects such as GIFT City in Gujarat and the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor. These megaprojects include the development of railway lines, highways, and sprawling urban centers. Despite these endeavors, the existing measures may fall short in supporting the demands of the world's most populous nation. Poverty remains a significant hurdle, with Mumbai, India's financial hub, commonly known as the slum capital. The education system, particularly in certain regions, ranks among the poorest globally. High levels of youth unemployment encourages many to seek opportunities abroad, leaving behind their homes and families. The lack of sufficient business opportunities exacerbates the challenge of absorbing the vast number of graduates into the workforce. Compounding these issues, a McKinsey report from a few years ago revealed that only a quarter of engineers in India were deemed employable, with some studies suggesting even lower figures. A recent survey by employability assessment firm Aspiring Minds indicated that a staggering 95% of Indian engineers lack coding proficiency. Wealth inequality in India is an escalating concern, exacerbated by the recent pandemic. Technological advancements have disrupted the job market, creating a gap in required skills. Presently, the demand for digital skills in India is 8 times greater than what is available, a gap projected to widen to 20 times in the future. These challenges collectively pose hurdles in India's pursuit of becoming the world's 2nd-largest economy. To navigate this path successfully, radical and transformative steps are imperative. The need for comprehensive development is paramount, and only time will reveal the outcomes of India's efforts to address these challenges on its journey to join the ranks of developed economies. we only hope for the best. As India boasts Bollywood, a vibrant industry of Hindi films that is gradually gaining global recognition, there exists another country in the eastern part of Asia, South Korea. South Korean culture and its entertainment industry have not only become globally mainstream, but are also widely appreciated by audiences worldwide. However, despite its success, South Korea faces significant challenges. And to know that how South Korean miracle becoming the cause of its extinction, click on the video to the right, and I will see you there.